And our first guest of the 7 o'clock hour.
We're joined by James Stewart, the district attorney in Caddo Parish. Everybody calls him Judge. Judge, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Criminal justice reform, the governor is saying that's going to be his top priority during the legislative session. There are those who say that he might face some opposition from the DA's association, so we thought we'd go to you first. Some good things in this, some bad things. What can you tell us about what you know so far?
Well, it's supposed to be reform and reinvestment, and I think a lot of the DAs look forward to the reinvestment part. I think the biggest problem is they overstepped. It was supposed to only be dealing with nonviolent crime, but the proposal that came out that I saw, they also stepped into violent crime, and so I think that's where DAs are drawing the line that you went too far. Unfortunately, that will keep people really on concentrating on what might be good because some of it is so bad.
Mr. James, are some of the governor's proposals, are they to eliminate or lessen penalties for, let's start with nonviolent crime?
I think they're to lessen some penalties of non-violent crimes, but the whole thrust was to create alternatives to incarceration, to do some things besides before you actually put people in jail, to reduce some sentences, and to parole people out earlier.
Would it be leniency for first offenders, second offenders? I don't know what the recidivism rate is. What is your feeling about that?
I think it's more with second and third offenders. I think first offenders, by nature, in most parishes, get leniency. It's those who get revoked on probation, those who have prior nonviolent criminal records. Those are the ones that they're claiming who are clogging up the prison cells.
When you say nonviolent crime, I talked to a couple of lawyer friends of mine yesterday, and they were kind enough to actually dig out the Louisiana Penal Code. What is defined as a nonviolent crime would be, for example, the Hamburglar guy, the guy that broke into all the restaurants.
Allegedly.
That would be defined. Well, somebody did it.
Right.
Okay, I'm not talking, I haven't mentioned names. So that would be defined as a nonviolent crime, right?
Correct. Burglaries, thefts, financial crimes, those type of matters where there's not really interaction with another person that causes harm.
Mm-hmm. And I guess my question, if that were the case, and whoever this person happened to be, perhaps the one who is currently in custody, perhaps not, were to after 24 offenses get the equivalent of a ticket, don't you expect some kind of negative blowback from not only the victims but the citizenry?
Yes, but I don't really believe they're talking about that habitual offender in that nature. It's the second and third offender who sometimes, because of the way the lawyers is classified, is not eligible for parole at a certain time, or not eligible for suspension of the sentence to be put on probation. It's that type of person, not the person who has 10, 15, 20 prior offenses.
James Stewart, DA in Caddo Parish, the governor's plan would supposedly increase pretrial diversion programs, sobriety programs for the mentally ill. Are you a little worried that, that's a great idea to have those programs, but who's funding it? We have a lot of these, unfunded mandates. Is that an issue for you?
And on top of that, do those programs work?
Well, it's a major issue. I mean, we already do pretrial diversion. One of the problems is, as I said, it's supposed to be reinvestment. So their proposal is you save $1, you take 50 cents and put it back in and reinvestment into the alcohol programs, drug programs. But just like with the juvenile system, that has not been the history. And given the state's budgetary problems, it's hard for people to imagine that if they save any money at all, they're going to be able to spend it back in the criminal system.
So let me put this a little more bluntly. Is this a great idea that the governor has that he's expecting Caddo Parish to pay for?
Now, I think it's a great idea that the governor had, but I think some people went further than the governor meant for it to go, and so those are the difficulties.
How soon, and well, I guess, are you concerned that it could pass this session and then implement almost immediately? Are you a little worried about that?
I'm concerned there's going to be a real war in the legislature because we're now digesting their proposal, looking for the actual bills that get proposed. And I think some people are planning to go down and vehemently fight it because it's overbroad in its concept. And I think it's going to get caught up in all the other budgetary problems and really not get what it could be done. There are some things that could be done. There are some things that probably can be changed and revised to make the system better. But I think they're going to get caught up in the bigger picture. If you're trying to change violent crime sentences, life sentences to make people eligible for parole at age 50 after 30 years, people are going to draw the line and say, no, we're not going to do that. And that's where the fight starts.
The Louisiana District Attorneys Association, have they taken a position yet? If not, do you anticipate they will, and how do you think they'll land?
We are in the process of looking at it and taking positions, but I already know they are totally against any changes in violent crime. That line has already been drawn. They're looking at other areas where they say, we oppose it as written, but we're willing to work with you. The question is whether or not people will be able to work it out.
But you must have some empathy when you look at the numbers. Louisiana has the highest incarceration rate. Obviously, that falls in the African-American community in higher numbers than anyone else. We got to find some way to answer that. Do you agree?
Oh, most definitely, because they're seeing it on the economic side. We're spending more money locking people up than we are educating. And then, as I say, there are some things, some revisions that can be done. We just need practical people with practical response.